Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we will be taking a look at the mall at Fairfield Commons in Beavercreek, Ohio. This mall within the Dayton metro still retains a ton of character straight out of the 90s, and continues to remain successful for the area. Although some stores have come and gone, this mall has been able to adapt to changing times very well. So join me as we take a walk through the mall at Fairfield Commons and let's see what it holds in store for us during my visit in March 2025. Our history begins in the early 1990s, when Glimcher Realty Trust was looking to build a new mall within the Dayton metro. They would build the mall on the corner of Pentagon Boulevard and North Fairfield Road in Beavercreek, Ohio, right near I-675 and just minutes away from Wright State University and the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Construction on the mall at Fairfield Commons would progress throughout 1992. And after a few soft openings, the mall at Fairfield Commons would officially open its doors for the first time on October 27, 1993. It would feature Sears, JCPenney, Elder Beerman, and Parisian as its original anchors. It is worth noting that this JCPenney would replace two other nearby JCPenney stores within Dayton. Along with that, shoppers would be greeted with a giant two-level concourse hosting over 1.1 million square feet of retail space. The mall would begin with great success, and more was to come as time went on, as a year later in September 1994, Lazarus would open up as a fifth anchor at Fairfield Commons, after emerging from their parent company, Federated Department Stores bankruptcy at the time. Fairfield Commons would manage to establish itself within the market, marking the beginning of a new retail corridor within the Dayton and Beavercreek area along Fairfield Road, as several new hotels, restaurants, and plazas would be built near the mall. And in 1999, a massive Regal cinema would open up as an outparcel on the mall property. And Fairfield Commons' success would continue on into the new millennium, as the mall would continue to see more changes in the early 2000s, as in 2004, a two-level Dick's Sporting Goods would open up as a sixth anchor to the mall. However, it would only feature a mall entrance on the second floor in the food court. In 2006, Lazarus would be converted to Macy's, and in 2007, Parisian would be acquired by Belk, However, they would choose to close their Fairfield Commons location. The space would then be taken over by Elder Bierman, whom would operate a dual anchor setup at the time. Their original space would become home to the men and home store, whilst the Parisian building would become the women's store. The mall would continue to remain successful going into the 2010s. However, in April 2014, Elder Bierman would consolidate operations back down to one store and would close down operations in the Parisian space. From there, the building would be torn down a year later to make way for 6 new restaurants as well as a new mall entrance. Unfortunately, 2018 would be a devastating year for the mall at Fairfield Commons, as in April that year, Elder Bierman would announce the closure of all of their stores, as their parent company, Bon-Ton, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The store would officially close for the last time on August 29, 2018, and not even a month later in mid-September, Sears would announce the closure of their Fairfield Commons store, and they would officially close their doors for the last time in December 2018. This would leave 2 massive anchor spaces vacant in the mall. However, the Sears space wouldn't sit empty for too long, as the space would be subdivided to make way for 2 brand new tenants. The bottom floor would get filled in by Round 1 Entertainment in November 2019, whilst the upper level would become home to a new furniture store. Originally, it was proposed that the Room Place would take over the space. However, the space would instead get filled in by local chain Morris Home Furniture. Their opening would be delayed due to the COVID lockdown in March 2020, which resulted in the mall closing down for a couple months. But the mall would reopen in May, with Morris Home Furniture opening up shortly after in June 2020. Of course I had to stop in here. This is one of the final Suncoast Motion Picture Company stores left in operation. It is combined with the FYE in this mall, and both of the 2 spaces have some really cool neons inside of them. So of course I had to showcase these. Despite these changes, the mall at Fairfield Commons would continue to remain successful for the area. Despite having to face competition with the Dayton Mall as well as the Green Town Center, Fairfield Commons would continue to remain as the premier indoor shopping destination for Dayton. In the early 2020s, the former Elder Bierman space would see a few temporary reuses, when a church would briefly move in 2020, as well as a pop-up clearance store for Morris Home in the summer of 2022. However, plans for new permanent life in the space would originally be proposed in June of 2021, when Synergy and Mills Development announced plans for a $10 million project to convert the entire Elder Bierman space into offices, a laboratory, as well as a research and development space called the Meridian. However, these plans would eventually be scrapped. and it wouldn't be until February 2024 when it would finally be announced that the former Elder Bierman space would receive new permanent life, as the space would be completely gutted to make way for a new Dick's House of Sport store. For those who don't know, unlike a normal Dick's Sporting Goods, their House of Sport locations are much larger and include more interactive activities, such as a rock climbing wall, a golf simulator, and a sports field, just to name a few. However, this would replace the existing Dick's Sporting Goods in the mall. The new House of Sport location would officially open in March of 2025. However, a new problem would arise just a couple months prior, when in January, Macy's would announce the closure of their Fairfield Commons location along with 64 other stores nationwide, and the store would officially close for the last time on March 23, 2025. On April 15, 2025, the mall's owners at the time, Washington Prime Group, put Fairfield Commons up for sale along with several other properties they owned. However, it wouldn't be until late October when the mall would finally be purchased by Kai's Capital and Spinoso Real Estate Group of New York, and they are the current owners of the mall at Fairfield Commons as of the making of this video. And shortly before their purchase of the mall, it was announced that Dillard's would be taking over the former Macy's space sometime in 2026. This basically leaves us to where we are today. Fairfield Commons has seen several stores come and go over the years, but it still retains high occupancy and massive crowds through its halls. This is a mall that's been able to adapt to changing times very well, and I expect it to continue to thrive on and to serve the shoppers of the Dayton region for many more years to come. Now, before we share our thoughts and feelings on this mall, let's take a quick look inside of the now former Macy's store, which closed in March of 2025. When we visited, this store only had a few weeks left. And although I was pretty surprised to see this Macy's on the closing list, I can't really fault them too much, as this was definitely one of the weaker Macy's stores I've been to. It didn't have as many amenities such as Macy's Backstage, and was a pretty small location overall, despite it being 2 floors. Also, one funny thing to note about this particular location, the speaker system in this store sounded absolutely horrible, and that's not me just trying to be rude. It genuinely sounded so bad that was one of the distinct things I remembered about this Macy's. The speakers sounded so muffled and had that cracking sound to them. And this building has only been operating since 1994, so I was shocked to notice that about this particular location.
It's always nice to see a mall that's doing very well, especially a mall with character and flair. The mall at Fairfield Commons is both a 90s paradise and a premium shopping destination. This mall was wall-to-wall busy when we went, and it had a unique mix of retail, restaurants, and entertainment options to choose from. This mall also had beautiful marble tiles and planters that gave it an elevated feel, and a unique-looking food court. If this was my local mall, I'd be here as often as I could. It also had a great lineup of stores to choose from.
Now, I have quite a bit of positive things to say about the way this mall looks, so before we get into that, I want to talk about how I think this mall manages to keep itself alive. When walking through this mall, I noticed that not only did it have high occupancy, but also a great variety of shops, dining, and entertainment. And I want to make a point on the entertainment side of things, as that is definitely one of the big draws that brings people into this mall. You got Round 1, Dick's House of Sport, the Anime Pizza Place, Suncoast Motion Picture Company, although that's a store. It's really one of the only ones left in operation, as well as the movie theater in the mall parking lot. These are things that get people to stay on the mall property longer and encourages people to do more within the mall. There's so many unique things about this mall that make it stand out compared to other malls I've been to. But then to add the cherry on top, this mall looks straight out of 1993. And I mean that in the best way possible because this mall looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you got those marble floors and planters, those massive skylights that let in a healthy amount of natural lighting into the mall, as well as some of the hidden details such as the lights around the pillars of the food court, all make this place into a 90s paradise that many people don't seem to talk about very often. I really like the way this mall looks, and the fact that it's still thriving makes it even better. This is easily one of my favorite malls within the state of Ohio, and I've been here a few times prior to shooting this video, once in 2021 and the second time in 2024 before shooting this in March of 2025. And I definitely want to come back to this mall again at some point, because I really enjoy the mall at Fairfield Commons. There's so much here that just makes this mall a great place to hang out at, and if you're within the Dayton region, I definitely recommend a visit to the mall at Fairfield Commons. And if you don't want to take the word from a mall enthusiast like myself, take it from my friend Ryan, who joined me when I was filming this. He's not a big mall nerd like I am, but he also really enjoyed this mall a lot. We were here for a couple hours during this visit because we were just looking around at a bunch of the shops while we were filming this. We all enjoyed our time here. And as we begin to wind down, I would like to ask all of you, what are your thoughts on the mall at Fairfield Commons? Do you have any fond memories shopping here over the years or any experiences from this mall? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for watching my video tour of the mall at Fairfield Commons in Beavercreek, Ohio. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like as it greatly helps support the channel. And whilst you're at it, be sure to click that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more mall videos like this to be released to more viewers like you. I have a lot more content coming to the channel very soon with a lot more stuff you're not going to want to miss. So be sure to subscribe for more videos to come your way. I also have an Instagram linked in the description with sneak peeks of future videos coming to the channel. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, stay awesome, and have a blessed day. I will see you all in my next video.